If you're a motorcyclist, you've spent time in motorcycle dealerships. We riders trade info about the best and the worst places to buy the stuff we need to keep riding. But what goes on behind the scenes? What's it take to run a dealership? In this episode, we go through the doors marked staff only at GP Bikes east of Toronto. And of course, no visit to a bike shop would be complete unless I torment the parts department with an endless order of O-rings and gaskets. It's what I do. El Camino is brought to you by Yamaha, revs your heart. Importations Thibault, distributor of power sports parts and accessories. And by GP Bikes, Canada's power sports authority. Welcome to El Camino. If you've driven east of Toronto on Highway 401, you've seen it. A stout building on the north side of the road that's perpetually expanding. I expect someday the highway will have to be rerouted around GP Bikes. What's unusual about the store is that it sells primarily European brands. Brands once sold in dusty little shops run by quirky men and women who drank strong coffee out of little coffee cups. Entering those shops was like entering a secret society, where the moment you walked through the doors, you were judged. Were you one of them? Or were you a rider of a Japanese motorcycle pulling back the curtain to vicariously peek into an alternative lifestyle? Well, those days are over, and that's a good thing. Those shops, for all their entertainment value, were as peculiar as the Order of the Solar Temple, the doomsday cult that convinced its members that after an early death, they'd be transported to the planet that orbited the star Sirius, which of course is also known as the Dog Star. GP Bikes came onto the scene just as niche brands like Ducati and KTM and Triumph hit the mainstream. GP Bikes was at the right place at the right time. Before we jump into the meat of this episode, the eagle-eyed among you will have noticed that GP Bikes is also a sponsor of this show. To sidestep the taint of impropriety, I'm going to let those who work at GP tell the story in their own words. But I'm also a customer of GP's parts department. That's it, just the parts department. And I'll share my experiences in the segment where I order 67 O-rings and gaskets and desmodromic valve shims for my old Ducatis, which will surely be the highlight of this episode. Let's check in with sales manager Jeremy Bushert.
I tried hanging up on my watch.
All right, we'll come back to him. But right now there's a Ducati demo ride out front, and wouldn't you know it, I've never ridden the Multistrada V4. So I check in with Miranda Hinfrey, signed the form that said I was on the hook for $2,500 if I threw the bike down the road, gave my $20 to charity, I like that touch, and had to ask the nice man how to start the bike. Whatever happened to ignition keys? I've never been on a demo ride at a dealership. Now, I've heard horror stories of inexperienced riders catapulting themselves through storefront windows, so I was keen to see if anything madcap was going to happen. Fortunately, or is that unfortunately, nothing much happened. Though one rider couldn't find the side stand with their toe, and they quietly blamed the bike, which seems totally rational to me. What does one learn about a motorcycle in a 30-minute demo ride? I was always curious about this. It's the motorcycling equivalent to speed dating. After sharing a cappuccino with someone, would you propose on the spot? Isn't that sort of the same thing as a short ride and then a big purchase? Rob DeWild, the finance guy, has a few thoughts on the mindset of purchasers.
The 19-year-old that walks in is impulsive. The 38-year-old guy can be impulsive, not if his wife's with him, right? And the guy that's retired just doesn't care. He buys what he wants because he has his pension, right? So you get the whole mix. Anyone can be all the above.
To be 19 again, or 54 again. So here's what I learned on my ride. The Multistrada is comfortable, smooth, and the engine can be lugged in top gear at 50 kilometers an hour. I looked at the badge and the fuel tank again just to double check. Ducati, it said. Let's just say new Ducatis are a lot different than my old Ducatis. Now I like both, though the raw-edged, overtly mechanical presence of the old bikes tickles a part of me that requires tickling. Sit with me over a cappuccino sometime and I'll tell you all about it. And I promise not to propose to you. Okay, let's try this again. Jeremy Buschert on 20 years at the dealership.
It's been a wild journey. I've been here not from the beginning, but I came just when it was 5 years old, a little company with just the one plaza, and then we expanded there, and we expanded there, and we picked up new brands, and then we just outgrew the place, and we had to come somewhere, and this became available, and so it's been exciting. It's been a lot of fun. Obviously, to do this job for that long, you really have to love bikes.
A number of shops folded during the past few decades. Some of them had been around for generations. Jeremy on GP's success.
We have thrived because location is a big part of it for us. Motorcycle shops don't have the kind of margin that you see in car dealers. And we're also, our income is very seasonal. So being out here where we are, first in Ajax, now in Whitby, lower land values, bought at the right time, and then just continually expanding. Having the different brands has helped us when one brand goes up and another brand goes down. We can weather some of the storms that some of the other dealerships have not made it through, I think.
Here's something I've always wanted to know. How much money does a dealer make on a bike sale?
On average, we're a little better than 10%. So we make about $2,500 on a $25,000 bike. A little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the brand.
I would have thought the margins were higher. And how do you decide which bikes to put on the floor?
The manufacturer has minimum standards that we have to carry. We do have to have at least one of every model, sometimes two of a model in stock for each thing. When we are out of one, we get hit with a min rep notice and have to replenish that bike, whether we believe it's a great fit for our market or not. Fortunately, again, the brands that we have chosen are ones that don't overload us too heavily. They don't mandate really large quantities of any particular bike, so we're able to carry a minimum of some of the ones that we know just don't fit our market very well, and then carry more of the ones that really are selling well here.
Look at this. It's Triumph's Rocket 3 Evil Knievel edition. Or how about this one, another Triumph. This one, the Elvis Presley edition. Both Evil and Elvis lived hard. Both are dead. Let that be a warning. The possibilities for special editions are endless. What about a Chairman Mao edition? Or what about a Hitch edition? What about a Jimmy the Greek edition? And oh, that's it. Me in my formative years. Destined to be a sales disaster. Special editions are the lifebloods of certain European manufacturers. Ducati, for one, has figured out that they can sell 500 of just about anything. They have a $89,000 Lamborghini edition Panigale. Parent company Volkswagen owns both brands, and a smorgasbord of other models that range from $62,000 on up to $95,000. Now the genius of this is that they're mostly sticker kits on top of a little extra carbon fiber and swanky paint. And I think it's wonderful because if the company stays healthy and profitable, then I'll be able to sidle up to the parts counter and order 67 gaskets and O-rings and desmodromic valve shims. This segment is brought to you by Yamaha. Welcome back to El Camino. Here's how I buy parts. First, you start with a parts book. Here's a valve cover gasket for a 1993 900 SS Ducati, last season's project bike. The part number is 78810321A as in Alpha. Now you have two choices. I can go to the website for a Ducati dealer in, of all places, Omaha, Nebraska. All the Ducati weirdos like me go there because they have a system that updates part numbers. So if I enter 78810322A as in Alpha into their system, it shows the part as no longer available. But it gives you the updated number, which is 78810322A as in Alpha. Now, go to gpbikes.com, scroll down to the Ducati OEM parts button, enter the new number, and bingo, there it is, my gasket, $7.04. Or you can just ask Joe or any other parts person at GP, and they'll do all of this for you. Why, you ask, would I do this myself? I have no plausible answer for that question. Now, Joe is a gem because he isn't trusting my numbers. Now, that's very, very good. For argument's sake, let's say I ordered a 146-203-51A as an Alpha, thinking I'm ordering a connecting rod bolt. But I ordered it at the end of a long day of tending my herd of sheep. My head's just not in it. Imagine my surprise, had Joe not caught my mistake, when my credit card was charged $3,200 for a crankshaft. I have a crankshaft, and it's perfectly fine. And on top of all this, Joe confessed that he's a Ducati man. He gets it. I like that. I really like that. As we all know, it's Amazon's world. We just live in it for as long as they let us live in it. To be without an online presence as a retailer is to wither and die. Now, when I do my semi-annual restock of O-rings and gaskets, I phone into GP and then wait for the envelope to appear on my doorstep. And in my mind, I'm their only customer that day. And I imagine that it goes something like this. I order my parts, somebody collects them from the bins, bicycles over to the post office on their lunch hour, and mails them to me. I was shocked to learn that I was wrong. Shipping and receiving supervisor Sarah Chmielewski sets me straight.
I think the thing that a lot of people don't expect about specifically our shipping and receiving department is one, how small we actually are. Including myself, there's actually only 6 of us that work back here. But every day we, if we're in a busy season, we put out probably about 200 orders a day on average getting sent out the door. And that doesn't include all the stuff that's coming in, both stock for the store as well as all the customer orders that get picked up, which you can see a whole bunch of stuff on that side. So yeah, just the volume of stuff we do compared to the amount of people that actually work back here. Sometimes people don't really believe me. They're like, there's no way you guys do all that with just 6 of you.
In my experience, it's rare that GP sends me the wrong stuff. I can't really remember any significant issues. But if there's a problem, you call customer service. Now, I would not be great in customer service. You need a certain temperament, calm, stoic, firm, businesslike, with a tinge of empathy, like Peter Closer.
So, obviously I work here in customer service. We have it falls under 3 different roles that our responsibilities. So we're responsible for picking all the online orders that come in. So anyone that places an order, it comes here as an email, and then one person every day is assigned to doing orders, and they just print all the emails and run through the store and grab whatever they can find. We process all the returns. And then lastly, we're just the general customer service role here. I don't know anything about the stats, but I'd say most of the problems, like 70% of the issues that come into the store will hit our extension on the phone. So generally, we reroute a lot of calls. We'll get people calling about parts, and then you talk to them on the phone, and it's always cool talking to people. Like, lots of people call with interesting stories, but yeah, you're looking for parts for your Ducati. Well, I can help you, but I can transfer you to someone who can help you better.
And sometimes things just go sideways. It's inevitable, it's life. A distributor says they have stock, but they don't. A manufacturer ships you the wrong thing. And it's up to Peter and his coworkers to figure it out.
It becomes detective work, trying to figure out who knows what, and who do I go talk to maybe figure out more, and then it's just double back, and eventually we work everyone out. But
All that for a pair of gloves.
All that for a pair of gloves, yeah.
This segment is brought to you by Best Western Hotels and Resorts. Welcome back to El Camino. Every tale begins with an origin story, and for GPs, we go to the man who started the store, Jerry Ordanis.
I had a dream of owning a motorcycle store from when I was fairly young. I got out of the restaurant business that I had for about 3.5 years with my family, and then knew how to buy and sell motorcycles. And I had a small dream. I went to my father. I said, Dad, rent me this small space. I'll give you $1,200 a month. It was 1,200 square feet. And I had 5 used motorcycles, and it began with that dream of just a small store. We didn't have accessories, apparel, just 5 motorcycles, and began to sell them. Turned 5 into 7, turned 7 into 10, and continued on from there. With each year and each day, the dream grew into apparel, into accessories. We did the bike shows. Our booth would be probably almost 8 times the size of our store. And then they come back to our store and said, well, this is a real small spot. I said, yeah. And then it began from there. We just began to grow. In the 3rd year of doing Ducati, we became the top dealer in Canada. Just continued to grow from there, added Triumph motorcycles, added KTM. Then had a vision of making a big store, getting out of that old, really good, plaza where I lived for some period of time.
And you lived in the shop at one point, did you not?
I did. I lived upstairs in an office for about 2 years before I was married. But I just wanted to get out of that old plaza and get something bigger, where we'd have our service department and sales all under one roof. So we're standing now in our current GP Bikes location, which we've undergone 4 renovations since we've moved in, transforming a racquetball squash court, fit for life gym, which it was back in the 80s, into our GP Bikes superstore, megastore. That we have now.
Whenever I've seen Jerry, he looks intense, like he's running from a fire. I asked him where his drive comes from.
I think it comes from wanting to be the best in my realm or my sphere of what I do. My realm of influence, if you will, but I love the challenge. I love not only serving people in the sport that they love, because I remember when I got my first bike when I was 18 years old, I remember that feeling. I remember buying it and riding it home from, Coburg on that day on a NS 400. It was so exhilarating. So I communicate that to people that come in for their, very first time. But also, I just love the challenge of growing and becoming the best in our industry. And I believe we've become one of the best stores in Ontario, if not, Canada. But each day I want to go the extra mile for my client. I want to go that extra mile to make them feel like they're part of our community, they're part of our family. And I think we have a one-stop shop that offers that to so many people from all over Ontario.
As Jeremy told us earlier, a $25,000 motorcycle nets a dealer $2,500, 10%, give or take. Now compare that to other retailers. A pair of jeans at the mall can be marked up from 100 to 350%. Shoe markups range from 100% to 500%. Furniture, 200 to 400%. And for eyeglasses, an eye-watering 800 to 1,000%. Given the more modest markups in the motorcycle biz, where does the money come from?
Well, you look for alternative, revenue streams. You look to generate used bike sales. You look to do F&I, service, apparel. It's half and half. Half of what we sell is iron, and half of what we sell is soft goods, parts, apparel, and we do a lot of online as well.
The motorcycle business, like every other business, has come to be dominated by giant online retailers. Revzilla in the US and Fortnite in Canada are just 2 of them. GP Bikes straddles the divide, 1 foot in the online world and 1 foot in the old-fashioned bricks and mortar world, with helmets on the wall, clothing on hangers, and parts on the shelves. Jerry doesn't think that'll ever change.
When I buy hockey skates or hockey equipment, I'm not going to want to buy it on Amazon. I want to go to a place that there's a player there that can help me out. He can tell me what skates are good right now, tell me what gloves and sticks are, really working well. I don't want to order that online. I don't think that's ever going to go away. You're going to want to go to a place with people that know the sport, that know that ride, and that can advise you in ways that you just can't get when you're looking at a review online. Plus, you can try the things on and feel them and touch them. I think that's so vitally important. I don't think brick and mortar stores are going away. I just think we have to do them in a smarter way. We have to do them in conjunction with our online. I think it offers a better all-round experience for the consumer.
This segment is brought to you by GP Bikes. Welcome back to El Camino. GP Bikes is full of staff, full of customers, and absolutely jam full of motorcycles and everything to do with motorcycles. Trying to look at one bike is like trying to focus on a drop of water in a wave curling over top your head. Sometimes you get so busy you forget things. Assistant Retail Manager, Marianne Byberg.
It's a little bit embarrassing, but a couple of weeks ago, a newer staff member came up to me and said, I was reading our bio online and it says we started in the year 2000. Doesn't that make it our 25th anniversary? And I went, like, I'm the marketing manager. And I went, yeah, it does. And he said, what are we doing for that? And I said, I'll get back to you on that. We are in our busy season, we're in the daily grind, and that's not 25 years, it kind of goes by real quick, and we didn't really think too much about that. So now we'll have to put some thought into that.
Take it from someone who's learned the hard way. Never miss an anniversary. Thank you for watching El Camino. Clothing was provided by Importations Tebow. El Camino has been brought to you by Best Western Hotels and Resorts. Wherever life takes you, Best Western is there. SMK Helmets. And by Spring Toronto Motorcycle Super Show.